Welcome to part 2 of A Girl from the Bronx Who Dared to Follow Her Dreams with April Hernandez Castillo. If you have not listened to part 1, you may want to go back and listen to episode number 43. You can listen to this podcast on your favorite app, or you can listen at our website, latinobusinessreport.com. If you're a YouTuber, the Latino Business Report now has its own YouTube channel. We have just loaded 41 episodes of our podcast. Wherever you listen, give us a comment, give us a like, tell us what you think. We would love to hear from you. Now for part 2 of A Girl from the Bronx Who Dared to Follow Her Dreams with April Hernandez Castillo.
Welcome to the Latino Business Report. This podcast covers business, people, and issues of the day from a Latino perspective. The Latino Business Report is brought to you by TAMAC, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce. TAMAC is the leading Hispanic business organization in Texas since 1975. Now for your host, J.R. Gonzalez.
And welcome to part 2 of the Latino Business Report with April Hernandez Castillo, lover of red lipstick. We're going to talk about that, but she's also an author, keynote speaker, and actor. She has a new book out, Embracing Me. And if you do not know April, you probably do, just don't realize it. Google her, look at all her movie and her television credits. They are extensive. She's an actor. She's a mom. She started off as a stand-up comedian, and she is just a very, very passionate, determined, and kind individual. April, how are you doing?
I'm pretty fantastic. How are you?
I am doing great, and I cannot tell you how much I enjoy having you on this podcast. It really kind of brightens it up, and it makes me pay attention a little bit.
Oh,
so, April,
thank you.
I see on your LinkedIn and some of the stuff, lover of red lipstick. You have to explain that one to me. I don't see that very often. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, this, but lover of red lipstick. I mean, do you wear it? Do you eat it? Do you sell it? I mean,
so
why?
My dream actually is to one day have my own red lipstick line. That's a dream.
Okay.
And my love for red lipstick actually came from my mother. It's a memory that I have etched in my mind. And I remember as a child, I would watch her. I would secretly watch my mother put on her makeup. And, you know, back in the day, like, they didn't have the makeup that they do now. So most Latina moms would use their lipstick, not only for their lips, but for their cheeks. And I just remember how she would use it for her blush. But it was this red, deep lipstick, and I always thought my mother was just stunning and beautiful, and so it's become a signature. So whenever I do speaking engagements, most of the time you'll see me in red, and I also know that red is just a powerful color. It makes people pay attention to you even more. You know, all the tricks and things that we do as speakers. But yes, I said, you know what, I'm going to put this on my LinkedIn, and it's interesting how many people will be like, oh my gosh, do tell me. Right, because it's, you know, you're like, oh, keynote speaker, blah, blah, blah. But I've seen some pretty cool bios where people put stuff and I'm like, oh, I like that. And shout out to LinkedIn, because that's how we met.
Yeah, right. Definitely. For those listening, I don't know. I did a post. You responded. I said thank you. You said thank you. Next thing you know, we're having Zoom calls, getting to know each other, and becoming friends.
Right.
Thanks, LinkedIn.
Thank you, LinkedIn. Works. It actually works, but it does, and I really didn't discover it until like the pandemic. Yeah.
I just recently learned how to. You know, I'm old. I recently learned how to use it. I didn't know you could actually meet people. I'm kidding. Okay, for those of you who have just joined this podcast and you missed episode 1 with April, go back, stop. Yeah, just stop the tape, stop and go back and listen to part 1, which will probably explain some of part 2. But if you're lazy like me and don't want to listen to part 1 first and want to go ahead and enjoy part 2, well, sabes que, go ahead and stay. We'll just take it from there. So, April, we've talked about your childhood. We've talked about your abusive relationship. We've talked about you getting into the acting business. We've talked about your book, about transparency, your 2 beautiful children, how your daughter's going to be a better actor than you and probably make more money, but that's okay. We always want the best for our children. So let's talk about a little bit. I mean, you're an entrepreneur. You're a business person. And for any entrepreneur, I respect the heck out of them. Anybody who out there and makes their own paycheck instead of receiving one, who has to earn it. And you get a lot of no's, being in the industry. But how did you get on the speaking circuit? I mean, the acting, I understand, but you do a lot of keynote speaker. You do a lot of keynotes. You had a TED Talk gig, which I watched. It was fantastic. How did you get into the public speaking aspect of things?
I became a public speaker because of the movie Freedom Writers. I saw the power of story. I saw firsthand because we were going on a 5-city tour. Myself, Erin Gruelle, which the movie is about, her life and her students. And if you've ever watched Erin Gruelle speak, she is a phenomenal speaker. And I think she's done several TED Talks. And really just being inspired of, wow, I went through something and I got out of it. I went from point A to point B, from my abusive relationship to being into Hollywood and actually working, which only 2% of actors actually make it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm in that 2%. It's not always happening the way I thought it would, but I'm in there. I'm part of the acting world. I am part of acting history, especially with Freedom Writers. It's sort of this cult film that has never gone away. And really understanding, like, man, I survived something. What if I can make my mess into a message, as we usually say? And I just started speaking. I didn't even understand the capacity, or I didn't really understand what a public speaker did. I just knew, I can talk to people and they listen, and I think I'm okay at it. And it just turned into this whole other career for myself. Well,
congratulations. You do a great job, but as we both know, the public speaking circuit is not easy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
A lot of people think, gee, that's so cool. You travel to a cool place, you have a nice dinner,
right?
You speak and you get paid for it. That took you what, 20, 30 minutes? I go, yeah, right. I mean, they don't take into consideration the prep time, the travel time, the hotels, being away from family, doing your gig. The wrap up, the shaking hands, the saying hello to people, the after stuff, then getting back and then traveling back. I mean, it's brutal.
It is.
It can wear on you. So it is not an easy way to make a living, but it's a way to make a living. And I think I really like what you said, that if you had, what was that? Your mess or the message? I mean,
making your mess into a message.
Making your mess into, and that's the important part, is delivering a message. And I know when I get the opportunity to speak, that if I feel that if I've just changed one person's mind, or if I got somebody out there that actually listened and took what I said to heart and maybe changed your life a little bit, then everything else, it's worth it. Just one person at a time can make a difference.
Right.
I've been very fortunate, very blessed. I've gotten a lot of keynotes. I wish I would have started counting how many times I have, but it's like, I guess with you, it's like how many times nobody returned your call. It's just, there's so many, I just kind of go, but
right.
It is a crazy way of life. And I haven't shared this with you yet. I actually showed portion of your TED Talk to a professor at Texas State University down here in Texas. And he said, JR, you know her? And I go, well, yeah, I mean, we're doing a podcast. He goes, did she ever come to Texas? I go, well, she's talking about it. He goes, you get her down here, I'll get her in front of the students at the university. I want her here at Texas State. And I'm going, okay. So Josh, Dr. Josh Daspit, if you're listening, we'll shout out to you, and we'll see if we can't get April for your one of your classes, or to be a speaker at Texas State University. So April, you got an open invitation.
Oh, I would love it. I mean, and like I was telling you, I've spoken in Texas several times. I was just there at the beginning.
Well, if you went to South by Southwest, I mean, you got to come to ours.
Right. I was in South by Southwest. But before that, I was in San Antonio with Sam Ministries working. I've spoken at St. Philip's College. So Texas it shows me a lot of love. So, yeah, let's make that happen.
And like we've talked before, it says have your passport and we'll do a run for the border and go across the.
I'm here. I'm here for it. Yes, I love that.
We'll do a tequila run on the other side of the frontera there. We'll just go ahead and hey, it's great right before Christmas. You buy all your gifts on the other side. They're a lot less expensive. Bring them back and just pass them out.
Yeah. And it's JR, it's not often that I actually, although I travel so much, and maybe you can attest to this, that there are times where you don't have the time to just go and explore because you're in and out. You're doing the Batman, you come in, you leave the message, you have a dinner, and the next flight you're trying to fly back home. So whenever I do get to explore and be in a city, at least for a day where I'm not speaking or having to have dinners, it's so much fun. It really is.
I had a speaking engagement in Memphis, and I did my little speaking deal, and I left early because I wanted to go see Graceland before I had to get on my flight to come back to Austin.
Right.
But it's like you're right. You get to go to a lot of cool places, but sometimes you don't get to enjoy that city or that town that you're in because of schedules.
Right.
So it can be a brutal thing. But April, let's talk about your acting a little bit. You have a great resume of shows you've been in. What is your feeling? You said something a little earlier that really resonated with me. Only about 2% of Latino actors actually make it.
Actors in general.
Oh, just actors in general. Okay. How about in the Latino community? I mean, to me, I mean, okay, let's just get into it. Okay, we're just going to roll up our sleeves, get into it.
Right.
And let me give you my viewpoint for it. To me, I think that the Latino community is underrepresented on the big screen and on television. There's not enough. And some of the roles that we have to take to keep working are, we're either criminals, we're drug dealers, it's something. There's very negative, which I really like some of your career, what you've done in your career. You've played both sides. You've played, the bad girl, but you've also played, an attorney. You've played different parts and professional roles. So I'd love to see, Latinos, Latinas in professional roles. So it kind of hurts. So some of our kids and our younger people, or even the older ones, can see. So I was getting, you know what? Look on the screen there and look. She's playing a doctor. She's a lawyer. She's a professional. We're not all just restaurant owners and cleaning people and we're construction. Right. I feel there's a huge underrepresentation in both Hollywood and on television of Latinos. What's your thought on that?
I think we've made a lot of progress. We have, because there are way more Latinos on TV. Sometimes we don't know they're Latino because they changed their name.
True.
And then you find out and you're like, this guy's from Guatemala. Oh my goodness, I didn't even know. And there's just this sense of pride when you see someone who looks like you, who maybe has your last name, and there's just something special about it. I still don't know why. I have conversations with many of my friends who are, in the writing. In order to get a project made, there's so much red tape that you have to go through. There's so much red tape just to get a project, on television. So when it does happen and it doesn't continue to succeed, I don't know. It's something where I'm still trying to figure it out. Why our shows don't last more than 1 to 2 seasons. I think George Lopez is probably the only one to do it, where his show was on for several seasons. And then you have Jane the Virgin. You had which was with Gina Rodriguez, and she's Puerto Rican. She's actually a good friend of mine. So you have these moments where we do have shows that do end up kicking, they kick butt and they stay. I think because we're so diverse.
Yeah, we are.
You have Chicanos, you have Mexicans, you have this, that, you have Cubans, Dominicans. Hollywood is still trying to figure us out.
Well, I don't think we figured ourselves out, to be. I mean, and you're absolutely right.
But there is a sense of, I don't really identify with a Mexican from San Antonio. I'm saying that somebody might feel. I don't identify, especially being on the East Coast, I don't identify with telenovelas. I didn't grow up watching telenovelas.
Ay, Dios mío, you don't identify?
I grew up watching Bold and the Beautiful. I know, I grew up watching Bold, my mom, Young and the Restless, because I was so, Americanized. And my mom and my dad just, I wasn't that. Then you have that, right? Like, am I not Latina enough, or you too Latina? It's just this constant battle. And I think that that's unfortunately how it affects how we make movies.
Well, I'm tempted to just cut this interview off right now because You don't like telenovelas, but that's
no,
okay.
No. I didn't say I didn't like them. I just said I didn't grow up watching them. And so if I didn't grow up watching them and then that's all I'm seeing on TV, there's such a disconnect in culture.
Okay, that's not what I heard, but that's a good save.
It's fine.
That was
fine.
a good save. We'll just move on. But you're absolutely right as far as the identity, because, I mean, we have 22 different countries of origin. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're right. We have Mexicans, we have Cubans, we have Puerto Ricans, we have Dominicans, we have Spaniards, we have Latinos, Hispanos, Chicanos. What are we? We're not a monolithic group of people. We're very eclectic. We're very diverse. And then with interracial marriages, I mean, a lot of people don't realize that, over 10% of the Hispanic population is Black. And I was in California giving a keynote address, and a gentleman came up to me and said, "Mr. Gonzalez, how are you?" He says, "My name is Pablo Wong." I mean, he was combination Mexican and Chinese. And I had actually said something in my speech, says, "Look, if you can speak Spanish, English, and Mandarin Chinese, you got like 80% of the globe covered." I mean, those are just growing populations. And with the U.S., I mean, Spanish is it's becoming more and more diverse. The Hispanic population is growing. And as far as Spanish speakers in this United States, I mean, it's huge. So with a large population, the Hispanic population is exceeded the African-American population. We are the largest minority. We are the majority minority in this country. But yet I'm not seeing that, not only in elected positions and on city councils or school boards or state or national offices, but I'm not seeing it on television. I'm not seeing it. I think that some of this stuff, some of the art should be a reflection of life, and I'm not seeing that reflection. At least I'm not. You may have a different point of view, right. But I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, what can be done to get, whether it be Hollywood or, I know we need more actors. If only 2% succeed, let's just keep feeding that pipeline with people like your little girl and yourself. But is there anything what would change Hollywood's mind, or what's going to have to click in their head for them to realize that is a huge market out there, and we could actually make some money off of it if we just tailor a few more things towards that market?
It's just having people in the rooms, as far as writers, producers, the decision makers. As actors, we are not decision makers.
You just read the script.
We read the script, we show up until we get to the place where you create enough of oh my gosh, relationships where you can begin fostering and producing projects that get seen. So whenever people complain about the Oscars being so white, and I go, if the script is not good,
yeah,
it doesn't matter whether you are Black, white, Latino, gay, bi, however, if it's not a good movie, it's not a good movie. And I don't care if there's, the whole cast is Latino, but if it's not a good story, then it's not going to make it into the Oscars. And people just don't understand that. They want to, make everything about, being about politics. But I'm like, at the end of the day, if the story is not good, then why would I invest as an audience member to watch that movie? But if you do have a good script, if you do have a story that is compelling or whatever it is, then that's going to make it into the Oscars. So I have like this whole thing about the Oscars being too white. I'm like, that's just what it's been. Is it changing now? Absolutely. It's not white anymore.
It's very political too, isn't it? It's
very political. And I'm like, this is the time where I don't want to hear about politics. I just want to watch a movie. I want to see fabulous dresses. I want to see my favorite actor either win or not win. And I want to just, not think about anything serious for 3 hours, because that's how long it is. But now everyone is very political. You have actors speaking out so much more, and it's a good and a bad thing.
Well, you are right about, we're seeing more and more Latino actors, and we're also seeing filmmakers and producers that are Latinos out there making a difference and making some of those movies. I know that there's I do have some friends of mine that are independent filmmakers who are doing pretty good on the circuit out there with their films, but it's a tough business.
It is.
It really is, and a lot of people don't realize just how much time and money it takes to even produce an independent film. I mean, they can be very expensive.
It's very expensive. There are so many things that you have to do to cut corners and working. I mean, you give your heart and soul. And that's why whenever anyone walks away with an Oscar, not just the individual, but the entire team, because it is a team effort. It is having a director who's a great leader and a visionary, leading this team for, 2 to 3 months, and then after for post-production. And it is this celebratory moment because of the hard work, sweat and tears and all the no's and rejections that you go through. So whenever any of my friends books a job, I'm elated because I know that they were just probably having ramen noodles for the past month, or even any parent who can sustain themselves and still move forward. And listen, right before we got on the call, I told you I received a call from my manager who told me that I didn't get a role that I auditioned for that I know I was right for. And I cried in the kitchen, and my daughter saw me, and she has to see how I handle rejection. I'll probably have a glass of wine tonight and cry some more because I really wanted to do this movie, and now I won't be able to. So I'll just have a glass of wine and,
Will you be equally as happy and elated for the Latino that did get the role?
I mean, yes. At the end of the day, someone is working, right? They're going to be able to pay their rent. They're going to be able to eat, and they're going to be able. So I can only applaud them. But it's also hard for me because I just know that I wanted that role.
So you would have been better than them, right? Yeah,
of course, absolutely. Without a doubt. Like, I'm not going to even sit here and be like, no. I mean, that's what being a champion is, right? When you see MMA fighters, when you see boxers, and you fought the good fight, and yet they can still pick up the hand of the other champion, that really makes you stand out. And so, yes, as much as I wanted the role, I am equally as happy that this person was able to get in.
And April, everything I've learned about you since we've met, you're definitely a champion with red lipstick, may I add, but definitely a champion.
Thank you.
With that said, what motivates you? I mean, look, you're married, you're a wife, you help your husband on his photo shoots, you have 2 kids that are young, that your youngest, one of your daughters has a starting a career within herself. I mean, that's a lot on a person. Plus, you got your own auditions, your own speaking engagements, your book tours. How do you balance it all?
I don't. There's no such thing as balance. I just think it's prioritizing and boundaries. And knowing.
I like your transparency on that.
Yeah, I don't believe in balance at all. Because I don't have the balance, but I do have boundaries. I also know what hat I need to wear. So whether that's, okay, mommy needs to be the actor and professional, then that's the hat I put on. And then when I need to be a supportive team member to my husband, that's what I do. And then when I need to just also coach my daughter and be a mentor and not just a mom, then I put that hat on. I don't know. I guess I just
juggle.
You just figure it out of saying, okay, this is what this person needs. We don't manage our daughter in the sense of closing deals because I believe that my daughter needs a mother and a father. She doesn't need a manager.
So you're not necessarily a stage mother then?
I'm not a stage mom because I know what it's like to be on stage, and I just know the game already, which is why my daughter is probably 10 steps ahead of another child coming from parents who don't know anything about the business. So I know the showing up, knowing your lines, and doing the job. And so far, it's been fantastic because people are like, wow, we rarely get parents who are not, hovering. And listen, my daughter, she booked 2 jobs. And unfortunately, a little girl lost the 2 jobs that my daughter got because of her father was very, very hard to deal with.
Oh, wow.
She lost 2 jobs, and I wonder if he is managing her, how that will not be good for her.
Yeah.
So it's a hard role, but it's necessary. I mean, there's no greater teacher than my husband and I to my daughter right now.
No, she's very fortunate to have you. Both of you. both of you, and then to get into the business at such an early age. A brutal business, but at the same time, a business that I'm sure she's going to enjoy. And it's important. I cannot, to me, I'm obviously older. I've been around for a while, but I really, really appreciate, I don't care how bad a show is. If there's Latinos or if it's a Latino story in there, I'm going to watch it. Sometimes my wife will go, "Why are we watching this?" I go, "Because we're supporting it." I don't care. We're going to watch it.
Thank you, though. Thank you, because viewers like you help us, help shows say, oh, there are people tapping into the show, right? Ratings, everything, all that goes into it.
Oh, I posted on my Facebook. I said, hey, there's a new show. Check it out. I give my opinion. No, I think it's great because I'm one of those. I'm definitely an advocate for the arts, and I'm definitely an advocate for Latino, actors to be out there on the screen. We just need more of that because, to me, they become role models, and I'd like to see. There again, like I said earlier, art should reflect life, and it does. But there's so many times, using your words, there's too many white people on the big screen,
right?
And we just need to diversify that a little bit more, where the rest of the world can see that America is very diverse. It's a diverse community, and there's other people besides your traditional Hollywood from the 60s and 70s. So that's important. But the question I have for you, before we start wrapping up, and we'll get in that downwind here in a minute, is what motivates you, April? What gets you up in the morning to go, okay, let me get the breakfast for the kids. Let me do this. And then to be able to, with your book, your selling, your engagements, and then to get those auditions and put on that it's showtime face and go do it. I mean, that's a lot.
It is a lot. I don't know why I do it. I want to quit every second of the day. I wanted to quit today. I was like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm done. I don't know why I'm doing this. This is the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. And then I go to sleep, and then I say, you're alive and you get to swing the bat every day. There are people that won't even step up to the plate.
And you get to do something you enjoy doing.
Yes, because when I do it, I forget all of the no's. But why? Why do I wake up and do this is your question. I saw my mother die with all of her dreams. I saw my mother die never fulfilling any of her dreams. And that to me is the most terrifying thing that I have ever witnessed. I never knew my mother's dreams. I never knew my mother as a woman. And I think about how she never had the chance to believe in herself. And so I think about every day, how can I be better? How can I be great? How can I be an example for my daughters? But that really is what wakes me up and makes me just I want to live. I don't want to just be alive. Got
it. Ergo, the red lipstick. A tribute to your mom.
Yeah, I wear that. Yeah.
A tribute to your mom, but at the same respect, when you leave this earth, you want to leave accomplishing some stuff, living your life. Not holding back your dreams. I mean, that kind of hit me that you didn't even know what your mom's dreams were because they were just, she never talked about them. She never explored them.
She came from that era where women did not share anything. Very tough Puerto Rican mother. Crying to her was a sign of weakness. So I have chosen the opposite. I cry. I allow my daughter to be there for me, especially because she's a fellow actor. So I want her to see that it's not going to always be a yes, but how do we handle the no's and the in-betweens? And I think me crying in front of her allows her the space to be there for me in a way that I was never there for my mother. I couldn't be there. When
she sees you crying, does she understand why? I mean, does it scare her? Does it bother her?
No, actually.
It has to bother her.
Not at all. She says she's so motivating. She actually wants to become a speaker as well. She told me, Mom, we don't give up in this family, and God is going to open up another door for you.
Well, there you go.
And I'm over here like, why wasn't it this door? She's such a natural, optimistic child. God bless her soul, because I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm more of I'm a pessimist, which is interesting.
Well, as far as a motivational speaker, before we go, what do you speak on? I'm just pitching you here, okay? If there's anybody out there interested in getting April Hernandez, the red lipstick motivational speaker, what do you speak on? I know you have your TED Talk.
Right.
I know you talk about transparency. You talk about everything, but what are some of the topics that you talk on?
I mean, transparency has been a newer topic that I've discovered, and I've been getting booked for. Obviously, the healthy and unhealthy relationships, that's been my message for over the last 10 years. How to show up when you don't want to show up is another thing I speak about when, I'm booked for corporations, because how many of us don't want to show up, and showing up is so important. Empowerment.
Well, that's half the battle right there, isn't it? Just showing up.
Just swinging the bat, right? So I learned that from baseball. You will not hit a home run unless you have struck out 1,000 times. Before you get to that home run, you have to strike out.
Right.
And I think we live in a world now where people don't want to strike out. They just want to hit a home run.
Don't get me started.
I'm not going to get...
Don't get me started. I have some of the, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I battle with it, because I dig the way that the new, generation thinks, but I'm like, yeah, no, you got to put in the work.
It takes work. You got to put in the work. It takes steps. Some of these folks just want it automatically. So I have graduated from college. Now I need to start at a $80,000 a year job plus benefits and vacation. I go, really?
I know. But listen, I just saw Vice TV had an episode of, and it was the title, "Kids Ditching College to Become TikTok Stars." This is a real trend that is happening. And you have 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds who are making millions of dollars off of TikTok. So why would I go to college? If I say go and get your education, and yet we know people who've gotten their education and they're nowhere near, making the money that they want and living out their dream. And then I have an 18-year-old who's like making a gazillion dollars because they're on YouTube and they're on TikTok. Why would an education be attractive to anyone, especially a kid of color?
That's I can see that. And I guess my answer would, I really have no answer, but actually knowing something, going to school, having something between your ears. I mean, I've come to the conclusion, April, that common sense is not that common.
Ooh.
And as I watch some of these TikToks, I mean, I'm happy for them. They're making money, but how long is it going to last? I mean, things go in phases. Always get the education. I don't see why some of those TikTok stars couldn't be going to school and doing the TikTok. I mean, might as well do both. I know I had to work my way through college. But no, a lot of them just, but you know what? I'm not even going to go there. You're going to get me on a whole different direction. Direction I don't want to go.
It's
true. It's true.
It is this, wow. How do you make education attractive to someone? And you and I understand the benefits, right? If I hadn't gone to Hunter College, I would have never become an actor. I would have never been introduced to something outside of, the Bronx, and the arts opened up my eyes. It's a battle, definitely.
Definitely a battle, but you know what? I hate this term, but I use it from time to time. It is what it is. I mean, it's a crazy world, and just God bless everybody out there, and I wish everybody success. But at the same time, some people want to live their dream, take it a route. Go ahead, and we'll just be here to kind of pick them up and dust them off and get them going. But I value education. I know you do too, and I'm sure your kids will that you'll instill that no matter what you do. Get that education.
Correct.
There's so many. In fact, the Latino education rate has gone up over the past 20 years. Before, it was like only about 10% of Hispanics actually had a post-secondary education, college degree. Now it's up to about 12, 13, almost 14%. So getting higher. We're getting more folks, more Latinos with master's degrees, more with PhDs. A lot of that is just due to the sheer raw numbers of more people going to school, but that's great. We need that education. You can't Everybody
Absolutely.
can't be a TikTok. Somebody has to build the bridges, Everybody can't be a TikTok star. Jeez. Anyway, on that note, let's wrap it up. April, I have enjoyed our conversation so much.
Me too.
Thank you so much for being here. For those of you, once again, my name is Jared Gonzalez. I am the host here. Very fortunate to have this podcast, the Latino Business Report with April Hernandez Castillo. And if you haven't listened to part 1, go back and listen to part 1. If you like what you hear, give us a like, follow us. You can also leave us some comments and go to latinobusinessreport.com. We have a site there, and just let us know what you think. April, any closing thoughts for the folks out there before we close?
Absolutely. Thank you for everyone listening. I hope to come to Texas very soon to be speaking. And if you want to find me on social media, I am April Hernandez Castillo on LinkedIn. That is where I met the amazing JR. And also, if you are looking to purchase and support and buy a book of Embracing Me, they can find it on Amazon.com.
All right. And how much are those books?
I don't even know, because Amazon, they have their own thing. But
it's a hardback, right?
It's both soft and hardcover. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you know what? For you, mija, I'm going to go ahead and get the hardcover. I'll splurge.
I think it's like $9 right now, so thank you.
Folks, the Latino Business Report, Jared Gonzalez with April Hernandez Castillo, the Red Lipstick Queen. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.